Hi, my name's Lawson. I write on Substack. I used to write on Medium.com. Now I'm mostly on Substack and WordPress. I have my own blog. I'm a guest contributor to DigitalMinute.com. Uh, Sometimes I post on Newsbreak. Just Google the name Lawson Wallace and look for my picture, and I'll take you links to my content. And I also have a YouTube channel with, at the time, right now, it's up to 2,844 subscribers. I came across this newsletter, and I'm a new subscriber. It's Passion Struck by John R. Miles, and he also has a podcast on Spotify, and I do too. As I have a podcast as well. But anyway, it was really an interesting podcast. And tonight's the episode I listened to this evening was all about reframing your thoughts, what you tell yourself. And it resonated with me because, especially almost, it's been what, 8, 9 years ago, I was homeless. Actually, I think it was closer to 10. I lose track of time. But anyway, I was homeless. And and part of not and most of the problem I had that period when I was homeless is when I was beating myself up mentally. I'd be in the room waiting to get a bed or a meal at the Salvation Army. And I'm just sitting there beating myself up about all the mistakes I made and all the things I did wrong and all this woe is me crap. And when I got to thinking after listening to this podcast, what if I, instead of sitting there feeling sorry for myself, sitting in the library all day, moaning and moping, what if, and what if I had just so I was homeless and things were looking bleak, but I could have reframed it as being a new start, a chance to reinvent myself, and a chance to start all over again. And I never thought of it that way. I didn't really start thinking that way until I came down south and married the woman I met on Facebook. And she doesn't allow negativity. I mean, she shamed me into being more positive, to be honest with you. And once I started being more positive, it took a long time. I really had to work at it, and I still struggle with it because I'm my father's son. And my dad was a pretty negative guy. Always, the stories he told himself were always in a negative light, skewing everything bad. And I do the same thing. Of course, I'm getting out of it. That's the whole point of this video. I'm getting better at it. So what if instead of sitting there feeling sorry for myself, what if I would have looked at it as a new beginning and got excited about the opportunities of reinventing myself and writing my own story? Because up until that time, I had been living the script my parents wanted me to have. And I don't want to beat up on my parents. They're gone. And it's not fair, but it's not what I'm trying to do. But they were trying to help, and they were helping by reinforcing all the learning disabilities and all this stuff and all the problems I had. So, so what if I could have sat there and just turned everything around instead of just sitting there, just tearing myself up. I mean, I lost all faith in everything, and I wasn't contemplating suicide. I just didn't care. You know, I'd walk across the tracks and not care that the light rail was honking its horn or not. Things like that. Our minds are our own. Our minds, our thoughts can be our help, or they can be an anchor that they'll sink us to the bottom. And and too often in my life, I let my thoughts. I looked at everything in a negative way when I could have turned everything around and made myself better. I talked about this before. I was watching this thing about SpaceX and Elon Musk on, on Netflix, and a rocket would blow up, and instead of accusing people, threatening people, or wallowing in self pity, Elon and everybody else got together and they worked on a solution. They reframed it as a learning experience, and they grew from it. So that's what I'm trying to do now. That's what I'm working on myself, trying to put everything that happened in Minneapolis in perspective and learning from it and growing from it. Not just what happened in Minneapolis, what happened in Florida that led to me going to Minneapolis. You know, so instead of looking at the past and tearing myself down, I'm looking at the past to build myself up. And I've come a long way. I'm a lot better person, and I would not have been this. I wouldn't even have been married, I don't think, if I hadn't gone through that Minneapolis. I had to go through the fire to burn away the dross. And that's the way I look at it. And that's the way I reframed it. So obviously I didn't put a whole lot of thought in this video tonight. It's kind of a spur of the moment thing. And I apologize for ranting or running on and not making sense or less sense than usual. But I really appreciated that podcast tonight. And I know I'm going to enjoy the free newsletter. So thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.